A military coup is taking place in Sudan. This is an emergency and it needs your attention. Several cabinet ministers and leading civilians have been either arrested or put under house arrest. The Prime Minister of Sudan, Abdullah Hamdok, has also been put under house arrest. The internet has been cut off and telecommunications have been severely restricted. The last time this happened was on the 3rd of June massacre, which many of you will remember as the event that started Blue for Sudan. The Sudanese Professional Association has, as a result, called on civilians and people to take to the streets and block off roads. In between filming and editing this video, protesters have actually been fired with tear gas and live bullets, which has resulted in the killing of 3 innocent protesters. If anything can highlight the turbulence and uncertainty of the situation, it's this. The key part is, how did we get here? Next month, the power was due to be handed over to the civilian government. Obviously, the military were against this, and so what they were doing is trying to make it as hard as possible to not only rule during the transitionary period, but also put in as many obstacles as possible in the recent last months, which is why you've been hearing so much about attempted coups, different actions that have been taking place, which many suspected would have led to this moment which we're witnessing today. In fact, the military portion of the Sovereign Council believe that they are the legitimate authority and the best authority to rule Sudan, which couldn't be further from the truth. This transitionary period has been so turbulent and difficult because of the many obstacles and many things that they have done to prevent it from actually being as successful as it could. Examples of this would be refusing to hand over the institutions of the military, which was actually one of their prime conditions for entering into this coalition agreement with the civilians. Delaying the appointment of the Attorney General, which of course would mean the trials of those involved during the Omar al-Bashir regime. Many of the individuals involved in running the mechanisms and institutions that constantly exploited and put Sudanese people in danger from accessing their fundamental human rights, right to political freedom, right to protest, right to security, right to privacy, right to freedom of expression, right to freedom of religion, and many other things. They constantly delayed the reinstatement of police officers who were arbitrarily dismissed because they were opposed to Omar al-Bashir's regime. Closed the port of Sudan, which led to the lack of flour and petrol, all done to manipulate people into thinking a democratic civilian government could not work. Despite this, people still protested freedom before food. The military dictators of Sudan are the fundamental and prime reason for all the problems we have been facing, and yet still they claim to be the rightful leaders and the only people who can deliver the wishes and demands of the protesters and many people who gave up their lives to fight for the freedom, equality and justice in Sudan. Al-Burhan also made a speech today regarding the events that have been taking place and what they intend to further do. So I will be making a video covering that and what that actually means. But please guys, keep your eyes on Sudan, keep up to date with the hashtag, share around the hashtag, share information, attend the solidarity protests that are taking place all across the world against this military coup, and keep your eyes on Sudan. The revolution continues.